Do you know where your money sleeps at night? Remember this before your next money decision. Most people don't lose money. They put them to sleep. How? They just leave it idle. As if money were pets you can leave at home while you run off to save the world again. But money isn't puppies. It's energy. It's power. And here's the big question. Do you command that power or does it lead you on a leash? I'm going to tell you 7 rules that changed the life of one man you're sure to have heard of. Jim Rohn. He started out broke. He ended up with millions. Not because he got lucky, it's because he chose not to be victimized by money anymore. At the very end of the video, I'm going to give you a practice, a short but powerful one that will start the process of change today. I promise, you'll look at your finances differently. In the meantime, you think working hard is enough? 70% of Americans retire broke, not because they didn't work hard, but because they didn't work smart. They spent everything they earned, every month, every year, until it was too late. Rule number 1, live on 70% of your income. The rest is free. What I wish I had known when I first got my paycheck? That 100% is a trap, because if you spend everything you get, you're like a rudderless passenger. Where the flow goes, you go. Now imagine, 10% you invest in yourself, in your brain, in your strength, in your knowledge. 10% you send to the future. This is the capital that will work while you sleep. 10% is from the heart. You give, you help, you open the flow. It's not about accounting, it's about respecting yourself. You're not someone who grabs the last thing, you're the one who builds, brick by brick. You're the architect, and your first material is discipline. Jim Rohn once heard his mentor say, if you can't live 90%, you can't live 1,000%. And that phrase hit him like a nail in an oak tree. He started from scratch, in debt, without a plan, but with a decision. I'll learn. You think, what's wrong with my pennies? When I have a lot, then I'll start. Number. Then it's too late, because wealth doesn't come to sums. It comes to thinking. Money is like an army. Without orders, they scatter. With orders, it builds an empire. Remember, 70% is for living. The rest is for growth. Not right away, but it's where it starts. Are you saving money or just putting off life? Why was I wasting my time saving for later? Because I believe the myth, you have to make a lot of money to start saving. Number, you just have to start. Imagine this. Every dollar that falls into your hands is like a little soldier. Either you give it a mission, go build me a future, or it's lying in the corner, buying you another unnecessary thing from the commercials. Would you want your money to work? Or would you want it to just stand in a traffic jam of doubt? That's what Jim Rohn realized the first time he stumbled by being late paying a regular bill. It was a minor fine, but a major blow. He said to himself, that's enough. Money now obeys me, not the other way around. That's how the second rule came about. Save not when there's money left, but right away. No questions asked, no discussion. Like brushing your teeth, automatic. Put it on autopilot. You made a profit, put 10% in the piggy bank. That's it. No, I'll think about it later. Because later is a lie. Later is a mask of fear. Discipline is the bridge between dreams and results. And that bridge is built by daily steps, not grand leaps. A simple formula for financial confidence. Save automatically means you respect yourself. Save steadily. That means you trust yourself. Save without hesitation. It means you become an adult. You're not a monkey reacting to a banana. You're a strategist choosing longevity. It's like planting a tree. Not for today's shade, but for a garden for your grandchildren to walk in. Yeah, that sounds high-minded, but if you don't think on the garden scale, you'll forever be at the level of a pot of mint. Also, start small. $5, 10. It's not a question of amount. It's about the system. And the system starts with you. So make it simple. Set up an auto transfer. Create a financial shield folder. And let every incoming dollar know it has a destiny. Not a random one, but chosen. Financial illiteracy is not a shame. It's a trap. You found the secret recipe. Not for the perfect omelet, but for stability. And it starts with the one action that 95% of people ignore. Study money like your life depends on it, because it does. In school, they told you who discovered America, but they didn't tell you how compound interest works. They showed you how to solve quadratic equations, but they didn't tell you why a credit card is not money, but a trap. You can make $2,000 a month and be free, or $20,000 and be a slave to your illiteracy. Financial pain isn't always about lack of money. It's about lack of understanding. That's what Jim Rohn realized. He started reading everything about investment, about taxes, insurance, not to become an expert, but to stop being a victim. One principle a week, one new term, one conscious step. A small lesson can save you 10 years of your life. Why was I wasting time on music videos and TV shows when I could have gotten a book? Because I didn't realize that ignorance is also credit. Only the interest is your freedom. Financial ignorance is like walking through a minefield with headphones on. Seems fine until it explodes. Now for a metaphor, money is an army. If you're not in charge, they scatter. But if you're in charge, they build an empire. You think, well, I'm not financial, I'm creative. Well, you're not. Financial literacy is not about numbers. It's about choosing to be the author of your own destiny or a subscriber to someone else's decisions. Start simple. Find one video about compound interest. Read one article about inflation. Subscribe to a channel that explains money in a human way. Listen while you cook a meal. Learn while you ride in a cab. Because ignorance is more expensive than you think. It doesn't just steal money, it steals the future. Write down one day, one idea, one step, one victory, and one day you'll realize you're no longer afraid of money. You've become its friend. And a friend whose money is a strength, not an anxiety, lives by a different set of rules. 4. Are you in control of the money, or is it slipping through your fingers? What I wish I had known when I started making my first money, that every unplanned ruble was a future tantrum. Here's the truth. If you don't tell money where to go, it will find its own way. Where? To your morning coffee delivery, to that discount sweatshirt, to that spontaneous sushi delivery when you already have food in the fridge. Brace yourself. This is what all newbies to money go through. When the money comes in and you feel like a god, then a week later, you're an enlightened ascetic counting change for gas. Jim Rohn once realized, financial freedom doesn't start with winning the lottery. It starts with a pen and paper. A simple plan. What comes in, where it goes, what stays, and most importantly, why. A plan is not an Excel spreadsheet. It's a contract with myself. I don't play with life blindly. Do you know why there are so many spontaneous purchases? Because emotions love emptiness. If you don't have a plan, you get tempted. If you have a plan, you have a strategy. Harmful tip on how not to deal with stress. Spend money on something shiny, edible, or useless. Sound familiar? Because most of us treat mental holes with material bandages. But you're not the majority. You're here, you're listening, you want more. So here goes. 1. Plan for even an unstable income. Do you have a freelance business? Own your own business? Income in waves? Do some minimal forecasting. Make a survival budget. And anything above that, don't spend it right away. Let it work. 2. Make a habit. Every month, 20 minutes. Your little financial meeting with yourself. No self-criticism, just facts and direction. 3. And remember, a bad plan is better than no plan, because the absence of a plan is an invitation to chaos. Financial planning is like a route in Google Maps. You can drive without one, but there's a risk of getting stuck in traffic, taking a wrong turn, or ending up on the side of the road. So, get a notepad, write, this is how much I make. This is where it goes. Here's how much I can keep. And suddenly you'll realize that you're not making bad money. You're just not giving money a role in your story. You're not an extra in a movie called My Finances. You're the director. And the plan is your script. You want freedom? Stop living like a cashier. Start thinking like an architect. Everyone thinks wealth is a pile of money. But the truth is that money without an asset is just numbers in a bank. And here's the sad truth about the financial system. It has trained us to work for money, but it hasn't trained us to make money work for us. And then the day comes when you wake up and say, what am I even going to leave behind but checks and memories of pizza delivery? Here's Jim Rohn's fifth rule: build assets. Even if you're not an investor, a genius, or a startup, because an asset isn't necessarily real estate in Miami or a stock portfolio. It's anything that creates flow for you. Money, knowledge, influence, freedom. Do you have a skill? That can be an asset. Do you have an experience? It can be monetized. Do you have a spare room? It can generate income. Do you know how to inspire? It could become a course, a club, a podcast. Jim Rohn started with books. He read, turned knowledge into ideas, ideas into products. Then he started teaching others. From teaching, seminars were born. From seminars was income. From income, capital. From capital, assets. And so it went. Remember, it's not money that gives you freedom. Assets do. Money disappears. Assets work even when you're asleep, even when you're away, even when you're not feeling well. What I wish I had known when I started, that excuses don't generate income. Actions do. Somebody will say, I'm 50, I have nothing. I'll say, you have one thing young people don't have: experience. Ask yourself, who needs what I know? What can I create once invested with time to make it work for me later? The big secret of all who have achieved freedom is that they build. While others complain, they build. While others are afraid, they try. And you know what they're not afraid of? Mistakes. Because the biggest mistake is doing nothing. Inflation will eat up your savings. Life gets more expensive. And if you don't grow, you shrink. You want stability? Build it. You want passive income? Create it. Want an example for your kids? Show them how a dream turns into a system. Today's assignment: 1. Write out 5 skills you already have. 2. Figure out how at least one of them can become an asset. 3. Take the first step for free, for fun, out of interest. Remember, poverty thinking asks, why do I need this? Wealth thinking asks, how can I turn this into power? 6. If you're not counting money, you're just playing the wealth game. Can I ask you a question? How much did you spend on food last month? Well, I think somewhere. This is where the chaos begins. When you say I think, you're not managing. You're guessing. Only 3 out of 100 people track their daily expenses. That means 97 out of 100 are blindfolded in a storm, trying to build a future with no idea where their money goes. And here's the 6th rule, without which everything else collapses. Write it down, everything, always. Yes, it's boring. Yes, it's for accountants. Yes, it's I already know this much. No, you don't. You think you do. Financial irresponsibility always masquerades as, I'm not spending on stupid stuff. And then you look and there's $327 for coffee, deliveries, and spontaneous purchases. That's how Jim Rohn figured it out. His mentor asked him, how much do you spend on food? Well, not much, sort of. Show me the numbers. And at that moment, Jim realized, I don't know, which means I'm not in control. He started keeping records, first in a notebook, then on cards, then on a spreadsheet. And you know what changed? Not the money. It was him. He saw where his energy was going, where habits were controlling him, what he was actually choosing each day. Accounting is a mirror. You don't always want to look in it, but it shows you the truth, and the truth makes you stronger. You can say that personal growth is important, but if your spreadsheet is $0 on books and $300 on bars, your choices speak louder than words. Now for a simple assignment, take a sheet, notebook, or appendix. Write: 1. How much came in this month? 2. How much went out? 3. Where exactly did it go? 4. What was left behind? 5. What does that say about you? It's not about money, it's about self-respect. It's about clarity, about being an adult. Accounting is about financial awareness. It makes you a true owner, not an emotional, oh, accidentally consumer. Remember, what doesn't measure doesn't improve. You can't improve what you can't even see, so keep a record, not as a punishment, but as proof that you're not a random passerby here. You're a builder. You're a leader. You're an adult version of yourself. You're not just spending money, you're building a culture. When you're gone, what's left? An empty account? The couches you bought? A feed of stories? Or something more? Here's Jim Rohn's seventh rule. Think not about how much you make, but what you leave behind. Because wealth isn't just about comfort, it's impact. Example, legacy. Jim Rohn used to tell a story about a simple farmer. He didn't leave his children millions, but he left folders with records of what he planted, how much he harvested, how he distributed it, decades of transparency. And the children saw their father was not just a hard worker, he was a strategist, a thinker, a system builder. A legacy is not a bank account. It's something you teach, even silently. You can tell a kid being responsible is important, but if he sees you living from advance to paycheck, he'll remember differently. What is financial culture? It's when your kids know how to save, why to invest, why not to borrow without a strategy, how to treat money with dignity, not fear. And even if you have nothing right now, you have the most important thing, choice. You can choose, become the first in your lineage to be financially conscious. Pass on not only fears, but knowledge. Create a system that others will continue. Because wealth isn't about millions. It's about a transferable thought pattern. Think right now. What habits will your children see in you? What lifestyle will they copy? What will be left of you when your stuff is gone? You don't have to be rich to leave a legacy. You do have to be honest, consciously purposeful. And let your mark be not just a number in your will, but a powerful feeling. I lived with intention. I created. I passed it on. I was an example. You are the project. Money is the tool. Life is the construction. So you and I have traveled a path from chaos to order, from there's not enough money to I control the flow, from I don't know how to I'm starting today. Let's remind ourselves of the 7 strategies we took. 1. Live on 70% of your income. The rest is for development, growth, strength. 2. Save automatically. Even $1 a day is not an amount, it's a habit. 3. Learn financial literacy. Knowledge is power. Ignorance is an expensive weakness. 4th, plan every ruble. Don't wait for randomness. Build intentionally. 5. Build assets. Don't wait for millions. Create a mechanism. 6. Keep records. Control is self-respect. 7. Think about legacy. You don't just live, you pass on culture. But knowledge is not the result. The result is action. Without it, you are just a listener, not a builder. Here's the practice I promised at the beginning. Find a quiet place. Take a piece of paper or a note on your phone. Answer honestly, to yourself, not to me, not to the world. 1. Where are you on the financial map right now? How many points do you have on a scale of 1 to 10 for each rule? 2. Where's the weak spot? Because the weak spot isn't your failure. It's your golden growth point. 3. Pick one rule that you will pump in 7 days. Will you keep a record? Start with today. Want to invest in yourself? Buy the book. Watch a lecture. Need an asset? Write out what you know how to do. Offer it to the world. 4. Write out 3 simple actions you'll do during the week. They don't have to be massive. The important thing is that they must be done. For example, I will start a Google spreadsheet and record all my expenses. I'll set up an auto transfer of 10% into a savings account. I'll write a post about my skill and offer to help for a nominal amount. Small action, big procrastination. And here's something else important. Share this video, not for my sake, for the version of you who will be grateful that you started now. A like is like a foundation. A comment is like a brick. You're already building. Do it consciously. Write in the comments, I'm starting with, and indicate which rule you take first. Why is this important? Because when you voice an intention, you activate it. You step out of being an observer. You become a participant. You're not just a random passerby in this life. You're not just a number in a database. You're an architect. And every day is a chance to lay another brick. Not just into a wall, but into a fortress of confidence, peace of mind, abundance. You can start from scratch. With debt, doubt, pain. But if you start, you're already going further than most. So stand up, make a decision, take a step. And yes, you're not doing it alone. I'm with you. Jim Rohn is with you, and thousands of people who have already started. Because wealth is not an accident, it's a lifestyle, and you're already in.